Segment 2, I'm all by myself. Well, actually not. We have Rick Mount on the line, Golden Black Live. And Rick, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Alan.
Hey, Rick, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I know that at least the sun is, I assume the sun is out in Lebanon, Indiana, and you've gotten your jump shots in this morning, but it's March Madness. You've probably gotten your fill of basketball here the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
How is Wisconsin? They still ahead? Are you watching that game?
No, I'm watching Duke and Albany. Because I've worked with Plumlee, big Plumlee kid, and I kind of got an interest in Duke.
and how is Duke doing? What's the score in that one? You can be our reporter here on the side.
They're up about 11.
Oh, so it's
with about a minute to go.
Okay, so they're going to get the job done. But when I was watching earlier, that game was they were running out on them a little bit. Well, yeah. And you're not old enough. Having seen you a couple days ago at lunch, we had a good chance to reminisce. And I look at you and I say, this guy is not. Doesn't look his age. He still shoots as many jump shots as he can a day, and yet 44 years ago, and today, Purdue UCLA in Louisville, a chance to play in the national championship game. The game didn't maybe go as well as you would have liked, but getting there was an unbelievable story. You look back at that at this time, put it a little bit in perspective about what that means to you, but also to have been a part of March Madness at the highest level.
Well, when you get in college, you want to win a national championship. That was the ultimate goal for us. And just like in high school, you want to win a state championship, and we had the team to get there, but you look down. Every time we walk out on the floor, we thought we could win.
Yeah.
And even when big Lou Alcindor was standing there, but that night it didn't work out for us, and we went to the final game. But like I always said, that nobody remembers the runner-up team, and that kind of proves out, because when they say 1969, it says UCLA. They talk about UCLA instead of Purdue.
Well,
but it was a great experience, and it's too bad we couldn't have done it a couple more times. But back then, only one team could go to the tournament, and we were talking about it, that if it was the way it is now, I'd have been in NCAA 3 years in a row.
Yeah, no question. Even your team as a sophomore, and of course you weren't eligible to play. No freshmen were eligible in your freshman season, but your sophomore year, you're 15-9. Finish third in the Big Ten. We talked on Wednesday saying Purdue would have been maybe a 5 or 6 seed, and your senior year you would have been a 2 or 3 seed. You finished second to Iowa in the Big Ten race. Iowa went undefeated that year. But is that how you look at it, even in today's terms? Yeah,
I mean, you look back at it and said, "Daggone, why couldn't we have been in the tournament 3 years in a row?" Because my senior year we were really good. We only lost 2 games in the Big Ten, and we might have slipped in there and been in the Final Four again.
Yeah, no question. And you had a chance to do it with a different group, but a very talented group as well. We do get some questions in here. I have a good question for you, because obviously, Rick, you don't talk about it much yourself, but you are certainly the if not the greatest shooter in the history of college basketball. You're on just about anybody's short list that's watched the game that long. But who is in your opinion maybe some of the best shooters you've seen? I'll still ask you, maybe at Purdue, that you've seen over the years. Who are the guys that have really, not only from a form standpoint, but really stand out as guys that have impressed you over your time of watching the Boilermakers since you played?
Well, that was kind of, even before I played, Terry Dishner was a great shooter.
Yeah.
I look at it, there's a lot of good shooters at Purdue since I got out of school. Great shooters, that's a pretty short list, I think. you might be able to come up with one, but I mean, there's been a lot of good shooters, but I don't know about a great shooter.
Yeah, you know, you look at guys, certainly pure shooters from guys that shot the ball from distance like yourself. They're pretty few and far between. You look at, I always enjoy hearing what you have to say about you know, we've talked about Rob Hummel, certainly a very good shooter. A Glenn Robinson, obviously a different type of player, but could shoot the ball from distance. But talk a little bit about what is, and a guy that you've worked with a little bit and gotten to know, and you watch the team closely in a DJ Bird. What is the common denominator? Is it truly, can you work yourself into being a great shooter just by putting up hundreds of jump shots a day, or how much is it science and how much is it effort?
Well, I don't think it's, you know, there's people out there who say it's scientific. I don't think it's scientific. Yeah. It's a bunch of good fundamentals, and getting the right fundamentals. You know, I've changed people around, which, you know, like DJ Bird. I watched him in high school, and he was between an average and good shooter, but he could score it. You know, yeah. he could make it. And then he came to me a couple years ago, and in my driveway, and you say, well, that's too late. No, it's never too late. If you listen and go work on it, you can get it. Look at the pros right now. And him and his dad came over, and we worked about an hour and a half in the driveway. I pointed about 2 or 3 things out to him, and he went home and worked on it. And his junior year, he came. You know, I always heard he's not a very good shooter, not a very good form shooter. And then his junior year, the announcers would call him a great shooter. Yeah. So, you know, he worked on it, went home, and got his shot better. And if you work on it and do the right things, you know, and get out there, you can make yourself a better shooter. You can turn it around.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions coming in, and one from Bluto71, and you have talked about this, and I've heard you say this many times, and you kind of answered in your last question. We say whether players can improve their shot. The answer you said was yes, but Raphael Davis, one of the freshmen in number 35, a very much of an effort kid, has made three-pointers, and I don't know how much you specifically have been able to watch him and evaluate him, but a guy that works at it, likes to get in the gym. What do you see from a perspective of him being able to improve his game from deep?
I think he could. You know, I liked him. I thought the two best shooters on the team was DJ Bird and the kid we talked about is Davis. Yeah. And I thought they needed to be in the game at all times, and I think next year he'll be one of the best shooters on the team, and I heard that he's got good work ethic, and he'll work on it in the summertime.
Yeah, Ronnie Johnson, obviously produced freshman guy, and when you look at shooting and have made a living out of teaching others how to do it, Ronnie has got a lot of skill. We certainly like his ability, and we talked, I know, on Wednesday about his ability to direct traffic out there. A guy that, from a technical standpoint, isn't far off, but he's got some things to work on just from a confidence standpoint, but maybe also just a stroke standpoint to improve his shot, in your view.
Yeah, he's not far off. He's a what I call an arm shooter, and I was a leg shooter. And you see a lot of guys that are arm shooters. They don't use their legs much, and he's kind of a shover. And sometimes he'll use his legs and he'll gather and he'll get his hand under the ball and start his release. Most of the time, it's about of his mouth. If he'd get a little tip that elbow just a hair more, get his hand under the ball and start lifting. If he'd work on that this summer and he'd get his shot down, and he's starting to learn how to play the point guard a little bit more. It's not so much one-on-one. Once he gets into the paint, he's looking to kick it out to people or try to make instead of a floater, try to make a good power layup. This guy could be one of the best point guards in the country.
Yeah. You look around the Big Ten, and obviously you watched Big Ten basketball, one of the best seasons, most talented conference seasons that we've seen in a long time. And a question about who you like. Obviously, Indiana's got all the weapons. Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State. Michigan survives yesterday. A tough game. Michigan State certainly asserted itself. Who do you like of the teams you've watched this year that you think can go the distance out of that group?
Well, you Indiana, Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State. All those teams are good and they're capable of going to the Final Four. But when you get in that tournament, if you have one poor game, you're gone. And I tell you, who I really like is I like the Miami University Hurricanes, Florida.
Yeah,
I really like that team. And but there's probably 7 or 8 teams out there can win it. It's kind of wide open this year, and so this is going to be an interesting tournament.
And one of the great stories, if you're a longtime Purdue fan and you're old enough to remember, it has to do with you in Miami and the fact that Bruce Hale kind of tried to get you to go to play for the Hurricanes. One of the great recruiting battles of all time, made Sports Illustrated on down the line. Do you ever think about that and how your life might have been different had you gone or did you ever, as you and I've talked about this in the past, that you may have committed to them just to tell them to leave Lebanon so that you could focus on something else for a period of time?
Well, that was Bruce Hale was the first guy that ever came to my house in the summer.
Yeah.
Right after my freshman year, he came. He was the first one to visit me at my house, and so we got to be fairly good friends. And he'd come every year, and it was kind of a thing where Purdue was in trouble with the NCAA a little bit. And then Indiana, there was situations in Kentucky, but and he kind of got on my doorstep, and I decided to go down there. And then about the middle of the summer, I had a change of heart and went to Purdue, which was the right place to go.
And of course, a person that near and dear to both of our hearts, and someone that's had a great impact on your life, Bob King, who passed away a month and a half ago. But Bob was famous for having helped get you to Purdue University. But to just talk about his impact on you, the person, but also Rick Mount, the player, and the opportunity for you to come to Purdue.
Well, he was one of the first to visit me also, and he'd come to games, and he had some relation here in Lebanon, and the thing about Coach Bob, and a lot of players that went to Purdue would say this, that he was like a second father to you. I mean, he'd praise you, or if you need a little kick in the butt, he'd do that too. But I mean, I really admired the guy and had a lot of respect for that guy, him and Red Mackey.
Yeah.
And so I can't say enough good things about Bob King.
Yeah, no question he had an impact. Go ahead, Rick.
And he was very he knew basketball, X and O's, and he was assistant coach, but he was the guy that had to go to the professors if you got in trouble, or go iron something out for a class or something. And he had to do all the dirty work, And he did it because he cared about us, and guys knew that some places you go, they don't care about you, but Bob King did.
And I think I know the answer to this question because we talked when we talked Wednesday. But you have not had the chance to see Kendall Stevens play yet? I don't assume. Or have you seen him on film at all?
No, but Tracy Hamill, the girls' coach here in Lebanon, has a brother that lives over in Dayton, and Troy Lewis lives close to him, and Doug Wiedemann, and he said that Rick wants to know how good a shooter Stevens is. And Troy, the message back to me, Troy says, you'll like him, Rick.
Yeah.
So if I like him, then he's a very good shooter. But I got to see him shoot first. But I heard he's a really good shooter, and he's a good player. So so we'll see.
Yeah, in fairness to the friend of the show, Troy Lewis, too, I think we can put him in that very good shooter
category.
Troy Lewis
was a pretty good shooter. He was a great shooter.
Yeah.
My mind.
I know that's a hard question.
And when you threw that one at me, it kind of stumped me a little bit. But Troy Lewis was a great shooter.
No question on that. When you look back at going back to the 1969 tournament. Obviously, injuries had. We had a story on our website this morning about the fact that you guys weren't playing with a full team really. Chuck Davis, after the Miami win in the Sweet 16, goes out with a shoulder injury. Then Herman Gilliam and Billy Keller both come down with injuries. So let's go back to the shot heard around the Boilermaker world, certainly with the game winner against Marquette. A chance to hit a game winner to send your team to the Final Four. That doesn't happen. It hasn't happened more than a handful of times, or a couple handful of times, really, probably since. But you hit the game winner in overtime up at the University of Wisconsin Fieldhouse. Do you still have visions of what that was? I know that came to, you're in the right corner and you make the shot. Tell us what still goes through your mind of what happened leading up to that game winner.
Well, the first it was great. They had Dean Meminger.
Right.
They held the ball first regulation, and they were going to shoot at the last shot. They had the ball, and Meminger puts up a shot, hits off the neck of the rim, jumps straight up with about 4 seconds to go. A guy named Cobb.
Yeah, Rick Cobb.
Rick Cobb grabbed the ball, and he was going to lay it in. It'd be the end. I mean, we're out.
Yeah.
And Faber grabbed him.
Yeah.
Just put a big old, how Faber, old guy, a strong guy. He grabs him, and he can't get, he puts him in a bear hug. So he's got 2 shots. And I've told you this story before. And so I'm at the blockout lane right next to him. The referee gives him the ball. There's 1 second on the clock. All he has to do is hit one. The ball game's over. And he looks at me, and he says, "It's over." Just like that. That's all he said to me. It's over. So he shoots one up there, clanks against the neck of the rim, comes off. So I'm looking at him really good this time, and he ain't saying a word because Ethel is pumping in his brain, in his veins right now. He airballed it.
Yeah.
So it goes into overtime, and they got the ball again. Meminger throws it over to the other good player they had. Can't think of his name.
George Thompson, I think.
Thompson, and Faber gets it from him with about 23 seconds to go. Steals it from him off his. Faber's on his knees almost. So they were going to hold the ball for a last second shot. So King calls timeout. He says, "We're going to run it down, and you're going to get it over to Mount. Johnson's going to come up, set a high pick, and we're going to shoot it with about 2 seconds to go, or 3 seconds to go, somewhere around there."
Yeah.
And so we start fooling around out there. Keller's out of the ball. He fouled out. Weatherford's out there dribbling it. And this is what was told to me. George looks at Joe Sexton and says, "They've waited too damn long."
Yeah.
But I'm saying damn, but he said something else. I can't say it on radio.
Yeah.
He said, "They've waited too damn long, daggone it." And he got me the ball, and the guy goes under the pick, so I go out on the outside because they were fouling the picker.
Mm-hmm.
So they, you take the ball out of bounds then. And so I went took a couple dribbles to the right, put up about a 22-footer, with 1 second to go, hit nothing but net, and we were in the Final Four.
Yeah, and that is still one of the great memories, certainly in Purdue basketball. Well, Rick, I told you we got to keep you 10 minutes. We kept you 20, but thank you so much for your time. We will do this again because there are a lot more stories, and we have lots more questions to go. But enjoy the rest of March Madness, and And all I can say, I know that from a legal standpoint, NCAA standpoint, you can't be used as an assistant coach, but players can call you legally and work on their own. And I wish they would. So because you've worked with them.
I wish they would, because it paid off for DJ, and he had the foresight and to go home and work on it.
Yeah, no question.
That's right. Got to get in that gym, guys.
Yep, no question. Hey, Rick, thanks so much for your time.
Okay,
and we'll do it again. And we will take a 2-minute break and bring in the patient Akeem Shavers and even the more patient Stacey Clarity as we'll do segment 3 on Gold and Black Live.
Going to the Purdue game? Stay at Hilton Garden Inn, West Lafayette at the Wabash Landing. Your family will love the well-appointed guest rooms, the pool, whirlpool, fitness center, the breakfast buffet, and the amazing Hilton Garden Inn staff. Located just 4 blocks from Purdue University, Hilton Garden Inn has long been the choice for Purdue fans. Call today for a reservation and make Hilton Garden Inn your #1 choice.
Check out the Purdue collection now at Follett's. Boiler up with Nike Fantastic T-shirts, League and Champion fashion colors. Simply fabulous, simply Follett's. Purdue pride everywhere on game day. Nike sideline, worn by the team, by the players, and by you. And make every day game day with tailgate toss. Follett's, Purdue pride, a Purdue tradition, 17 game day locations.
Good driver? We've got a discount for that and a lot more. See State Farm agent Trent Johnson to make sure you get all the discounts you deserve on your car insurance. Saving you money? It's just part of being there. Call or visit Trent today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Red lights on, segment 3. Akeem Shavers, Stacey Clarity will join me, and we're looking forward to. You're looking forward to Monday, Akeem. You've obviously got a big day with another chance at a pro day, and trying to sell your abilities to the professional ranks, NFL scouts. Talk a little bit about that.
It's been a great process right now, really long, slow process, but you know, I'm just trying to really just stay focused and make sure I don't do anything wrong, make sure I go to sleep, I sleep long enough and lift weights and maintain a little bit of advantage that I did get when I was training at MJP and with Coach Carlisle. So it's just really trying to get out there and really just show them again, because I heard from my agent that a lot of people didn't believe my numbers. So I really got to go out there and prove that those numbers were real, and that's what I'm planning on doing.
All right.
Didn't believe it from the other pro day here?
Yes, ma'am.
Even though there were a bunch of scouts here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. So are you going to do everything again? Are you going to do the 40 again?
If they ask me to, I will. I mean, I'm not afraid to.
Yeah.
It's like I'm totally confident in what I'm capable of doing. So I'm definitely just really, if they want me to, I will. And I'm not going to volunteer for it. But if they want me to, I'll go out there and run my best and give them 110% like always.
Because it was a sub 4.4, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So they don't believe that you're fast.
Right.
Nice. That's always such a compliment.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Did you not watch me play? Okay.
Yeah. So you have, and they obviously, do they come up to you individually and ask you, you know, what they want you to do in terms of in these types of situations, or I mean, if just a couple guys want to see you do it, then you do it. You basically do what they ask, I assume.
Yes, sir. You definitely don't want to make anyone mad
Yeah.
during this process, because you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, that's another team scratching you off the list. So it's just really.
I don't think you're going to do that. I just don't think you're going to say the wrong thing to the wrong person. But no, but does it make it? I mean, you talked about wanting to do the right things, but do you wake up every day with a sense of, you know, butterflies, or just that whole, you know, not being totally at ease because you don't know for sure your future in football in the near term?
There's a little feeling of uneasiness, but at the same time, it's something I've been wanting my whole life, so I'm going to give it my best shot and really put my best foot forward and try to keep it moving. And if it doesn't work out, I mean, I still have my degree, and I kind of like being in front of the camera here, so this is fun. I like the whole experience here. But
This will be around till the end of time because we archive these things. So when your children and great-grandchildren and grandchildren see this, they'll see you at this age. Go ahead.
Obviously, you know, it's a job interview every second,
Right.
basically, and they can ask you whatever they want. I think it's really interesting, your background, and you and I have talked about this.
Right.
I've written a little bit about it, but I'm not sure how many people actually know. Your mom died when you were 11. Your grandmother basically raised you from there. I mean, that's a big deal to kind of go through something like that at any age, but especially that age. I mean, how important was your grandmother then, I guess, to you? And she was at senior day, right?
Yeah, so she tried to make it to all the games that she can, but
Yeah.
she's always working. So that's kind of a motivation to me to get her to retire earlier. So that's one deal I know won't happen the next couple of years, but it's really motivating me to keep working hard, and maybe one day I will be able to help her retire. But yeah, she's kind of been like that vital backbone for me. It's like she picked up where my mom left off. You know, my mom always told me to be cordial and respect others, and that's one thing I've been trying to do. Like before she died, she always told me to be good. So I've been trying to live up to that for her for so long, and she told me it'll pay off in the future. And I was like, all right, Mom, I hear you, but and now
You're still hearing her problem.
right,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
sir. And I'm starting to see she was right, and I'm just trying to take it to the next level.
Yeah. Talk about you. We had a question from somebody in the chat room, but about your recruitment to Purdue and why you chose Purdue. You know, obviously coming to Purdue from junior college. Who else was in the mix? And what, you know, when first time you came to West Lafayette, what did you think?
The first time I came to West Lafayette, I was like, wow, this looks like something I've seen on TV before.
Yeah.
It's just like, it was snowing, and I wasn't used to the snow. It was kind of like, everything was really close together. I'm like, I'm not really used to this, but at the same time, I was like, it's not bad. Like coming up, my mom always told me about being loyal and having loyalty, and Coach Jackson, he was my recruiting coach. He came to Purdue and visited me. He was the first Division I scout to come visit me. So I was like, yeah, I like him. He was honest with me, and we kind of clicked the first 5-10 minutes we were together. And he came down to Tyler. We talked. We got on the chalkboard, and he tested me. I was like, oh man, here we go. And after that, it flew by quick. You know, I came on my visit to Purdue, and after that, IU called, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, but I told my grandma I really felt good about Coach Jackson and the Purdue program, and that's what made me pick Purdue.
Yeah, though it did take you did have to bring more winter coats and sweaters and those kind of things to be able to deal with this great weather we have here in West Lafayette.
And one of the things you've talked about is because you weren't necessarily heavily recruited out of high school, you kind of developed that chip on your shoulder, and you could really kind of see that how you played when you were here. You know, you got stronger as the game went. Every little thing seemed to kind of motivate you going forward, and I'm guessing that's the mentality you're going to use, you know, in this part of the process too.
Oh, most definitely, because like I see my numbers that I put up at my pro day, they rank at the top of what everyone else that went to the combine and everyone else in the country. So it's kind of like I'm not the most hyped up running back that's coming out, but I'm just as good. I have numbers to prove it, but I didn't carry the ball 300 times, 400 times, so that kind of set me back a little bit in that ranking, I guess. But at the same time, it's like I'm not going to let it define me, but I'm going to go out and write my own story.
It's crazy because, and we talked about this, you seemed like you could be a back that would be able to get those 20 carries and really handle it physically, and it never really worked out that way here, except toward the end when Ralph was back, which was totally weird.
Right.
But you certainly feel, and that's one thing you can sell, is you weren't used a lot. So, I mean, you kind of have a lot of mileage left, I guess, as opposed to those guys who did get, every down, kind of everyday back.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really try to sell to myself. I think my agent is also selling it. It's one of those things that it can't hurt you at all, but at the same time, this is a numbers game, and like my stats, they were very productive, but they weren't as productive as everyone else. But we broke it down, my yards per carry averages about the same amount as anyone else in the country, but I just didn't have the 300 carries, 350 carries, and that's probably the biggest deal. I mean, I'm not really worried about it right now, though. So
you don't exactly have the personality where you were going to go in and be like, Gary Nord, give me the ball, either. So he was just going to kind of be like, well, this is what we're going with. So a little different. Some guys would have, obviously, I mean, you kind of subtly would say, see what happens when I get these carries, but you were never like adamant about it, which was good because it says your character. But on the other hand, you're like, ooh, look what happens when he gets the ball. Just kind of funny dynamic, for the season.
I kind of looked at it like everyone had a job to do, and I didn't want to tell him how to do his job. So I was going to play my position and my role and make sure I did everything in my power to help the team win. So.
What did you learn when, and Ralph Bolden obviously came in even before you were here and was pretty established, and also went through a lot with the knee injuries in your time, and also at least Ralph Bolden, I see he's a pretty likable guy and a guy that you can easily get along with. But talk about that relationship and also what you learned from what he went through and the opportunity. It gave you some opportunity because he couldn't play all the time, but what kind of learning experience was that for you?
He showed me that, like, if you have a will to do something, you can do it no matter what your situation is, because him with his knee surgeries, and he came back time and time again. That showed that he had a warrior spirit. He's a guy that's not going to quit. He's going to give everything he has to help the team be successful. At the same time, he's going to really try to take you under his wing and teach you something. And like after every play, every series, when we would switch, he would ask me what I saw. He would tell me what he was seeing, and we would help each other grow during the game. And I think that's what helped us a lot, because he was one of those guys that shared everything with you that could help you be successful and also make the team win, help the team win. And he's just one of those guys that really gives you. He doesn't take much credit for anything. He's kind of like, we done it together. So he's 100% team guy, and you got to have guys like that on your team. So.
Neither of you will be back, so that leaves obviously. So who's your pick? Obviously you have a guy like Akeem Hunt, who was kind of the big play guy who made kind of most of his opportunities. But then Brandon Cottom is a guy that we've seen some too, and there are some younger guys. I guess Gregory, John Shoup mentioned Gregory, who are like, really? Okay. So, but you've been alongside those guys. I mean, what's kind of your take, I guess, on the running back position?
I think as far as running back goes, I think Akeem Hunt is going to be a good guy. He's experienced. He's just been waiting patiently on his turn to get out and explode. So he's going to be one of those guys to look out for. Everyone knows about him, and he's not really a secret. So, he's going to get his chance to be the premier back. Cottom, he's a great guy. Him and Freitag both share the fullback position. Those guys, I can't really say that they that I can't pick between the two, but they both work hard. They're both big, strong, physical guys. And I like Robert Gregory. We call him RG7. He's like a raw athlete. You can put him anywhere on the field as far as skill position goes, and he's going to make plays. Like, he came in as a quarterback. We moved him running back, and he picked it up so fast that you're not used to seeing a quarterback do some of the things that he was doing with the football at the running back position, because it's like two different worlds. But he picked it up and he ran with it, and I think he's going to really have a little bit of production this year if they get him right and let him play. So.
Interesting.
All right. Now, for somebody that hasn't played football past the 7th grade, which is me, tell me what you thought while coming out of the huddle against Ohio State. And I know there was a call, the first play of the game, and Caleb has to make a call to you or change some things. But when you know something may be coming your way on play number 1 and then it works out, what's that like?
It's one of the best feelings in the world. You know, we practiced that play so many times, so it's just routine for me. I was like, all you got to do is catch the ball. Everything else will fall into place. So once we broke the huddle, we get up to the line, we line up. I look at who's going to be covering me. I was like, oh, yeah, I seen him on film. I got him beat. He's not as fast as everyone makes him seem. So, because I'm confident in my speed also, so I was really going to put it to the test. And we caught him on a play fake. So.
And he checked out of that. Did he check it into a play, or was that the play all along?
Oh, that was the play all along.
Yeah. So you knew.
Right.
So how much time when you're going out around the left side there and you're going to wait that ball? Does it seem like hours till it gets to you?
Oh man, it felt like a lifetime. I was looking. It's like he got hit as he threw it, so the ball was kind of wobbled out a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, hurry up and get here. You know, we got to go because I seen the linebacker coming. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who it is.
I seen him coming, and I was like, okay, we got to catch the ball and go because it kind of as he got hit, it made me slow down. I had to come to a complete stop to catch the ball, so it kind of threw us off a little bit. But as far as that, I mean, I really relied on my speed and the rest of my team, and I felt Akeem Hunt behind me because he was screaming. He was like, I heard him screaming. I was like, oh my God, here we go. And it just turned out great. So.
This show and that play are going to be the two things you can show your kids and grandkids, all right? So you'll be all set. Stacey, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. We have a question. These people don't actually use their real names, so it's Kmart85, but he says, what are your plans after college football and non-football? Obviously, you're hoping that you can extend your career.
I'm really trying to extend my career, play as long as I can in the National Football League, and really just take every opportunity that I'm blessed with and make the most out of them. And I'm going to see if I can set myself up financially in the right way with football. And after that, get back into the work in America and see how that goes and really put my degree to the test.
Yeah, and you've learned how to work from that standpoint. And obviously, a question: you're not in spring practice, but you've had a chance to.
He's been there both days.
Well, but you've had a chance to watch Coach Darrell Hazel and this new coaching staff. Your impressions of him and what you think Purdue fans will see from the new group.
I'm impressed so far how everything is going. It's like everything is fast paced, up tempo. They're not allowed to walk around anymore from drill to drill. Each player has like this specific place they have to be, and if they're not there, you can tell the position coaches really notice they're gone. No one gets a water break without permission now, so you can't sneak off anywhere and drink water when you're supposed to be out practicing. So that's a good thing, and I like Coach Hazel. He's a nice guy. He seems like the type of guy that knows how to change a program. Like so far, the way practice is structured is 180 degree turn. It's like what I'm used to, and seeing this now is crazy to where they start off with a team scrimmage, and that gets practice going. And instead of you starting out with position drills and handoffs or something just from my position, it's like now we're getting into practice earlier, then we're going to put the little stuff in between, then we're going to come back and scrimmage at the end, and that really gets the guys going, especially when they have the music playing and they get to have more fun. It feels like you're still having fun, and it's not as much as a job when you have like that aspect right there. So.
All right, Stacey, got time for about one more question. Anything else that you want to hit on?
Just in the guys that you've seen in the couple days, has anybody stood out? I don't know how close. I'm sure you watch mostly the running backs, but.
I like number 28. I don't remember his name.
Yancey.
Yeah, he looks good out there. He's going to be a good player once he gets in and get the system, I think.
Explosive guy. I mean,
he is.
You can, I would guess, be able to use a lot of those explosive guys. You can't have too many, you wouldn't think.
True.
Well, we hope for you that you'll be able to watch the Purdue games on the Big Ten Network in some NFL city and be able to do that. But we also know one thing that with your attitude and what the leadership you've shown, I think you've been a great example of just watching of not only treating people with respect, but also having success on the field. That's a nice combination to have. But we wish you the best, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Okay, a little bit of housework here. Just to want to thank Stacy, thank Akeem, thank Kyle, thank Rick Mount, thank Brian Newberg. And we will be back next week on Golden Black Live. If you want to be a guest, give me a call. No, we'll come up with a guest or two. This show came together fabulously in about the last 12 hours. Once we heard Akeem and Rick were going to be able to join us, it was all good. So we want to thank our sponsors, Hilton Garden Inn, when tomorrow is a big day, stay at HGI tonight. State Farm agent Trent Johnson at TrentIsMyAgent.com. And of course, Follett's Purdue Pride, a Purdue game day tradition since 1945. I want to also thank, while I'm in the process of thanking people, Lydia, Andres, and Gordon back in the back room for putting up with us today. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Only a couple more shows left in the year. I know that makes everybody sad, but we're going to have just 2 more shows, I think, and we'll look forward to having one next week on Golden Black Live. Have a great week, everybody.